Hello and welcome to the big picture. The statement of Home Minister Sushilkumar Shinde the other day about illegal detention of minority youths and directing the state governments to set them free has raised a heated debate in the country. The Home Minister, who had made a similar statement in September last about Muslim youths, has modified his statement to include all minorities. However, this has been strongly objected to by the opposition party, especially the BJP, which has dubbed it unconstitutional. The Home Minister's move is also criticized as being politically motivated in election season. However, there have been many complaints of the minority youths having been targeted and detained for long periods of time and subsequently released without any evidence in terror cases. Today we will look at whether the Home Minister's directions to the state governments is well within the centre's powers or if it is beyond, and the state of minority youths charged of terror. To discuss this, I have with me Marwah, former Delhi Police Commissioner and also a former Governor. Anand, spokesperson for the BJP, will be joining us soon. Rajeev Tyagi, Congress spokesperson. Ansari, former Central Information Commissioner and an interlocutor on Kashmir. And Ashish Khetan, editor Gulail.com. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Rajeev Tyagi, I would like to come to you first. You know, this statement of the Home Minister Sushilkumar Shinde has raised a lot of discussion and criticisms, also saying that it is unconstitutional. There was no need for him to say that. He is discriminating between different religious groups. Different categories of citizens are being seen differently.
Girish, the point is that in India there are around 18% minorities working together with Hindus and other fellows to strengthen the nation basically. If Home Minister has written a letter to all Chief Ministers, he meant that we have to be very justified while treating minorities basically, because raising the eyebrows on their character all the time gives them a great pain basically. So my point is that in coming days, we will see India more growing basically, and India can grow with all caste and creeds coming together, all religions coming together. For that, majority has to think that minorities are our younger brother, and minorities have to think that majorities are our elder brother, and they have to work together to strengthen the nation.
Mr. Tyagi, the question here is of constitutionality or not. The question here is whether there was a reason for the Home Minister to make such a statement. What kind of consequences it would have when he talks only about minority youths? What about other youths who may have been, detained illegally or detained without evidence? So, the question is that, he is discriminating against different categories of citizens.
Girish, the point is that BJP is habitual of making a discrimination between majority and minority.
So
that's why Home Minister has advised them not to do that.
I don't know whether that is an advice to the BJP. Anyway, I'll come back to you, Mr. Marwah. Is this well within the Union Home Minister's powers to send these kind of directions to the state governments in such matters?
Well, constitutionally, I don't think there is any bar Home Minister sending such an advisory. But I think the more important issue is whether the objective is going to be achieved.
Exactly.
The whole objective is to ensure that there is no unjustified arrest of any minority community youth. Yeah. Nobody is against that. At least I interact with a large number of policemen, and I don't think any policeman wants any minority community person to be arrested unjustifiably. The question is why we are really talking of Muslim youths, because in the context of the jihadi terrorism threat, why are they being arrested? Why? You see, if you go back to 1984, when the Sikh terrorism was at its height,
right,
all the arrested suspects were Sikhs. Nobody raised this question of minorities at that time. Why is it being raised time and time again? Instead of ensuring that the police, when they make an arrest, irrespective of any religion, any arrest they make, they must ensure that there is reasonable evidence to do that. There are Supreme Court's directives, very categorically directives about when an arrest should be made. And when a mala fide arrest is made, the answer is to ensure that the police officer should be punished stringently and in a shortest possible time.
Has it happened? Does it happen?
It's not happening. That's what I'm saying. The Home Minister, instead of issuing these advisories, should ensure that this is done. And he, under the Constitution, has the powers to ensure that these advisories are given, which he doesn't do. Instead, just before the elections, when such an advisory is given, what will be the general impression? The general impression will be that politics is being played and the very objective which you want to achieve will not be achieved. It will be the reverse, because it will give the opposition a handle to create communal tension. And this communal politics are being played by both sides, the so-called communal parties and the so-called secular parties. And who are the victims? The poor
minorities.
Who are the innocent arrested people? Again, I don't want to get into the minority-majority controversy, but the fact is, any innocent person who's arrested, his freedom is taken, he's finished socially, economically. It's a very serious business. And why the police officer who is responsible for that action is not given the severest punishment?
Ashish, you think this can be, these kind of directives can be counterproductive? Mr. Marwah says that, it may not achieve its objectives, though the fact is that these are, there have been many instances, you yourself have been, done a lot of stories coming out with these things, but you think these kind of directives will be helpful to those youths who have been, who may have been detained illegally, who have been spending a long time in jail for no reason at all?
Well, these directives, without groundwork, without laying out the reasons, and without putting out the evidence of the innocence of those Muslim accused who are languishing in jail on trumped up terror charges, do more harm than good. I'm of a very clear opinion, because what these general directives do is that they immediately politicize the issue. What does exist on record of the Home Ministry, on the record of the NIA and several other agencies, clearly shows that dozens of Muslim accused from Maharashtra to UP to Gujarat are languishing in jail on trumped up terror charges on fabricated evidence. And these cases pertain to the period of 2004-2008.
Right.
When the agencies were basically shooting in the dark,
right.
When behind every blast there was an automatic assumption that a Muslim and a Muslim organization is behind the terror attack.
Right.
This is the period when Malegaon happened, when Samjhauta Express blast happened, Ajmer Sharif happened, Mecca Masjid happened. We now know that both in Malegaon and Mecca Masjid, dozens of innocent Muslims were arrested. Evidence was fabricated, witnesses were tutored, bogus confessions were extracted.
Right.
And now when a picture has emerged that most of these cases were falsely investigated and most of the accused were falsely arraigned.
Right.
Now there is a need to set up a review committee.
Right.
Because there are two sets of facts which
right.
are completely contradictory. And these two sets of facts have to be re-examined at the administrative level, at the level of the judiciary, and maybe at the level of the central government.
No, this is exactly,
and then only a
Ashish,
will emerge,
sorry Ashish, the Home Minister actually talks about setting up these kind of committees or review committees on the lines of what was there for the Pota. In last year, March 2013, he had spoken of fast-track courts in these cases. What has happened to those fast-track courts? Have any of those fast-track courts been set up where these Muslim youths, he had specifically mentioned about Muslim youths being, held in terror cases?
You have to understand that merely setting up fast-track courts may not be enough in this case, because such is the level of evidence
right.
that the agencies have fabricated. Like Malegaon 2006, you not only had bogus confessions, you also had an approver.
Right.
Now, what a fast-track court would do when you have recoveries, when you have witnesses, when you also have an approver,
right.
A fast-track court will convict the guy, like it happened in the Pune German bakery blast case.
Right.
The agencies had developed an art of fabricating evidence, of extracting confessions, of manufacturing approvers. A fast-track court is not a solution to this. What is the solution is that when there are conflicting sets of facts that exist on record of the MHA and other agencies, it needs to be reviewed by a judicial commission perhaps, by judges of high integrity in whom everybody has confidence. It has to be reviewed. And then some of these cases have to be reinvestigated, like Malegaon 2006 has been reinvestigated.
Okay.
And real accused have to be nabbed
and
tried, and those who are innocent, they have to be released.
Okay. Before I come to you, Mr. Ansari, Mr. Marwah, would you like to react to that?
Yeah,
see, the fact of the matter is that there have been this number of cases where there have been these youths, as Ashish very in detail mentioned about all these things. So how do you go about it?
I don't agree with this view at all, because when there will always be
you don't agree with the view that cases have been fabricated?
No, an odd case may be fabricated here and there. The point which he is making is there is contradictory evidence.
Yes.
So what do we do? A good police investigation will always ensure that the right person is arrested. It is not an impossible task.
Mr. Marwah, the problem is about good police investigation, good in court. This is what the problem has been.
But when you are in a hurry to show results, where you're in a great hurry to get kudos that you have solved a terrorist case, who's putting the pressure? The so-called people who are finding fault with the police today, they are the ones who are putting pressure on them. There is no magic solution to these. Police has certain limited resources which it has. Within that, it does the best job it can. If they are not doing it, it's the job of the supervisory officers and the political masters to ensure that they do that.
Apparently that is what the Home Minister is trying to do by
But he is not trying to do that. The real answer is to ensure that the good officers are rewarded, the bad officers are punished. But they are not doing it. Look at the postings and transfers, the way the promotion is done.
Yeah. Mr. Ansari, in your own experience as an interlocutor in Kashmir, there have been several Kashmiri youths also who have faced these problems. How do you look at this whole thing? Do you think that this kind of as Ashish says, that just fast track courts are not enough? You need to have some kind of commissions of inquiry or committees, which the Home Minister also is talking about.
Let me say three things. One, it is unfortunate that at any point of time, whenever a positive sentiments in favor of minorities, particularly Muslims, are expressed, it is always linked with appeasement and with the election.
Yes.
This is very unfortunate. Number two, you said whether or not the MHA advisory is constitutional.
Right.
You see, the fact is the MHA is a controlling authority, is administrative in charge of law and order situation, and the police and the security forces come under the purview of the MHA, and therefore the MHA is entitled, rather it is authorized to give an advice to the police department, to the states as to what they should be doing. But it is also important, the third point is that what the Home Minister has expressed in his advisory is confession of the truth, that, as you also mentioned and Ashish also pointed out, that there has been some injustice to the Muslim minorities, and a number of cases that had been unearthed, and it had been pointed out by the media, it had been pointed by the human rights activists, and it had been pointed by the studies like the Sachar Committee, and the Minority Commission has also pointed out from time to time, and there are many cases which has been unearthed and which shows that in most of the cases, on the basis of suspicion, many of the Muslim youth were arrested, and in due course of one, it was delayed in terms of inquiries, in filing FIRs, etc. And when it was the proper process of ensuring justice was followed, it was found that it was all fabricated, all evidence, and therefore they were let off.
So you think that the Home Minister's directive is fully
justified
and it was necessary.
Based on the facts, and also based on the facts. Okay, and he has acted on the basis of the evidences that had been presented to the ministry.
Okay, we have Pinky Anand, the spokesperson for the BJP, on the phone line with us. Pinky, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. You know, your party's reaction to this directive has been that it is unconstitutional, it is politically motivated. But here we have some people sitting here, like, you know, very senior people like Mr. Marwah and Mr. Ansari and all, who feel that as far as the directive is concerned, there is nothing unconstitutional, but the question is whether it would be effective, as Mr. Marwah feels that it could be counter-effective. Why do you people say it is unconstitutional?
You know, the question is not of our saying it's unconstitutional. The position that the BJP has taken on the issue is the fact that there is no problem if there is any kind of wrong arraignment or wrong arrest or harassment of any people, whatever religion they belong to, whether they are Muslims, whether they are Hindus, whether they are Parsis. The question is, people cannot be harassed, citizens of India cannot be harassed. But when there is a directive which specifically targets at any community, obviously the same is discriminatory and arbitrary. You just cannot say that these people should not be arrested.
I don't think he said it should not be arrested. He said that care should be taken when dealing with minority youths. One second thing is that if they have been illegally detained, they should be set free. What is wrong in these? What is wrong in these two statements?
No. You know, I'll tell you one thing. What happened in the Muzaffarnagar riots issue and the relief camps, when that came around, was there was a proposal by the state government, rather a policy by the state government, where only benefit was given, rehabilitation scheme benefit was being given to the members of only one community.
Right.
And when the issue came up, the Supreme Court is very categorical about it, that you can't have it like this. You have to give benefit to all riot victims, whichever community they belong to. So similarly, when you say, by the way, detention is arrest as much as detention would come in that category. Question is, how can you say that this should only apply to a category? In India, you do not have A, B, C categories. You have
minorities. I'll come to you, Ashish. Yes, minorities are part of the constitution. In constitution, minorities are a recognized category, isn't it?
That is not the issue. Question is whether minorities are which kind of recognized category. Are you saying that the minorities cannot be illegally detained or otherwise harassed, but the members of the other community can be? Is that what the constitution say? Would that be an issue between minority and majority in any kind? You're talking about citizens of India, you're talking about a central law, you're talking about central action, or you're talking about state action. That makes no difference. How can there possibly be any discrimination between members of different communities? That is the main focus of the issue that we are taking.
Okay.
That you have to put it universally across to all.
Okay, Pinky, I'll come back to you. Please wait. Yes, Ashish, you wanted to react.
Girish, the problem behind the arguments of Pinky Anand or Mr. Marwah is that yes, I agree. In principle, one should not make any discrimination on the basis of religion between one set of accused from the other set of accused. That in principle is fine. But we are acting here on the basis of empirical evidence.
Absolutely.
There is empirical data, there is concrete evidence to suggest that police, that certain anti-terror agencies were working out of anti-Muslim prejudice. There was an institutional bias, and that institutional bias led to bogus arrests. That institutional bias led to the arraignment of innocent Muslims, because there was an automatic presumption that every time there was a terror attack, there ought to be a Muslim behind this blast. Right. That's why you saw dozens of innocent Muslims being arraigned in Mecca Masjid blast case, in Malegaon blast case. And now after reinvestigation emerges, Ashish, that people from different denominations are behind those blasts.
No, Ashish,
so Ashish, you have made on the basis of hard empirical data.
Absolutely.
And that hard empirical data suggests that after
Ashish, you have made a point.
Of Indian Mujahideen, it becomes clearer.
Ashish, you have made your point. Your point is very.
Prior to
let me get.
Indian Mujahideen was unearthed and dismantled, were perhaps wrongfully investigated. As Mr. Marwah pointed out, the agencies were in a hurry to show.
Ashish, 1 second.
The agencies were in a hurry to placate the public opinion.
Okay.
And they went after usual suspects.
Okay, now Ashish. Let me get Pinky. Yes, Pinky. Pinky, would you like to react to that? Pinky, would you like to react to that?
I think we people have to understand that we are taking up issues of national security.
Yes.
You are taking up issues of where people are being endangered in the country because of terrorist attacks. You're talking about action being taken by the authorities based upon whatever information they have. And in any case, I think in these issues, you cannot talk about empirical evidence as to how many have been let off. The police and the authorities have a right to investigate.
Sorry to intervene, Pinky.
Yes.
Pinky,
can I interrupt, please?
Sorry to intervene, Pinky. My question is, do you agree or not that there have been several such cases where Muslim youths, as Ashish was pointing out, have been wrongly detained, have been wrongly arraigned, have been, and he's talking of institutional bias which has created this kind of. Do you agree with that or not?
Absolutely not.
You don't agree. You don't think that they have been targeted. You don't think that they have been wrongly detained. You don't think that they have been, wrongly arraigned.
Let me answer you.
Yes.
I don't think there is any question of institutional bias. I don't think we can even talk about institutional bias. And I think when you're talking about issues of national security and terrorism, to even talk about these issues would be somewhat antithetical to protecting the security of the nation and the integrity of the citizens. So, I mean, I think we are going off on a totally wrong tangent. You will find in the history of any country, including India, you might have some wrong arrests in the sense people are arrested and ultimately the case is not made out.
That doesn't mean that there's a bias on the national security. The biggest harm to national security is when we allow Muslims to languish in jail.
Ashish, once again. Ashish, once again. Ashish, please.
Can I say something, please?
That's the biggest harm to national security.
Yes, Rajeev. Yes, please.
Girish, can I say something, please?
Yes, Rajeev.
As Pinky Anand ji has said,
yes,
and she has quoted about Muzaffarnagar, I would like to remind her that her party MLAs have uploaded the videograph of Afghanistan to create a panic in Muzaffarnagar.
Yes.
And BJP is habitual of making hue and cry about every issue of minority. It's not here that you are not giving me the chance. I have listened to you patiently. Please listen me patiently, please.
One second.
Listen me patiently, please. And Pinky Anand is a lawyer. She knows the system well. And there is a complete leader of police reform. And in the character of police, basically we need a reform.
Yes.
And regarding Congress party, I can say one thing. We are going in a developing.
No, Mr. Tyagi.
We are going on a developing path, and we have to take all 18% minorities with us. That's why we have created in 1992 Minority Commission.
I'm not very clear what the point you are trying to make. The fact,
Mr. The point is that BJP is habitual of making a hue and cry about each and every issue of minorities. They are also part and parcel of Indian economy. They are also part and parcel of Indian society.
Please
they are working for India.
Yes, Pinky, very quickly, if you want to react very quickly.
They are also working for India. Can you deny the contribution of Dr.
Tyagi? Allow her to talk, please.
And it is unconstitutional, and in fact it was amended because of the outcry against such a policy.
Okay, you think it is unconstitutional?
Home Minister has given an advisory, not an instruction, basically.
Okay.
What is the difference between advisory and instruction to the extent, aside from the paper language that you are using, ultimately it is a direction to the authorities to do something.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Marwah. It is boiling down to the constitutionality or unconstitutionality of it. The BJP spokesperson feels that it is unconstitutional. But do you say it's not unconstitutional?
It's not unconstitutional, but I don't want to get into this controversy. The real issue is that minorities are suspected and then arrested.
Right.
And then later on it is found that they have been arrested wrongly, and
I want you to. We are running out of time. I want you to answer this question. Ashish says there is an institutional bias. There have been several reports. Human Rights Commission and all. Do you agree or not that there has been some kind of an institutional bias against certain communities, youths, like we have seen in several other cases?
No. Institutional bias against a particular community in a certain context.
Yes.
You see, when Sikh terrorism, again I come back to that.
Yes.
When Sikh terrorism was at its height in Punjab, all the suspects were Sikhs, and quite a few innocent Sikhs were also arrested. which there are any number of allegations and serious inquiries have been held, and very senior police officers are alleged to have.
Right. So you are saying that when it was happening with the Sikhs, nobody raised the minority issue.
There was no political controversy.
There was no political controversy.
The controversy was that people like me were even saying at that time that this is what is happening. This
BJP,
must stop.
Minorities means
and I'm
Muslims.
saying the same thing now. Jihadi terrorists, we face a serious threat, jihadi terrorist threat. And obviously the first suspicion will be on Muslim youths. But that doesn't mean that suspicion should be translated into arrest without evidence.
No, do you agree that it has happened?
It has happened. It has happened.
So in that context, the Home Minister was well within his rights and powers to have issued this directory?
Yeah, absolutely. But he could have done much better.
He could have done much better.
Much better to ensure that the police officers concerned are punished.
Okay. Yes, Mr.
As had been admitted, it is a fact that, number of the government...
No, but do you think that, what Mr. Marwah says that, this well within his right to send these directives, but it could prove counterproductive because it can be used politically by the rivals?
Well, it may or it may not be used. The fact remains that the Ministry of Home Affairs has got substantial evidence based on the studies which had been undertaken by the government.
Yes.
Whether it was a Searcher Committee or the Minority Commission, and they have established that the Muslim community is the community which has been highly brutalized, which has been highly operationalized, oppressed community, and they are discriminated in almost every field, including, in the matter of ensuring justice by the police department. So there is, it is an established case that there is institutional bias insofar as the functioning of the police departments are concerned, and that is why this advisory had been issued, and it has been issued on the basis of the fact.
Pinky Anand, Pinky, you're there?
Yes.
Pinky, the final words to you. You think that, this kind of directives are something which could also be a positive way in which the state governments can be, it's some kind of a caution to the state government. You think that the Union Home Ministry doesn't have that kind of a powers to do it?
No, it's not a question of powers or no powers. I don't even go into that domain. My simple issue is, it is very unfortunate in a democracy where we are fighting against terrorism, where we are fighting for, unity in all kinds of action. There should be a targeted statement made by the Ministry of Home Affairs, whether by way of an advisory or whether by way of a directive, which seeks to, in fact, create a schism in between the two communities. And this is the only manner in which the Congress continues to play its communal game.
Okay.
And this is sheer discrimination on the face of it. We don't need to enter into any more power. No power is not the issue. The doing of it is a deliberate action by the UPA.
Okay, you think that it's discriminatory. Yes, Ashish, very quickly, last words to you. It is discriminatory. Pinky Anand feels that it's discriminatory, and that's why it should not be done.
No, the optics of the Home Minister's statements do look bad, because you are jumping to stage 3 without going through stage 1 and stage 2. Now, stage 1 and stage 2 are clearly the stages where you admit that there were wrongful arrests, and those wrongful arrests happened because the agencies were in a hurry to show quick results.
Absolutely.
And now we have overwhelming evidence with our agencies, including NIA, the IB, several other anti-terror agencies in the country, that show that scores of Muslims who are languishing in jail, facing terror charges, are actually innocent, and those who are responsible for the blast are actually somebody else. Now, when you have such evidence, you cannot keep it in your closet, you cannot keep it under lock and key, and just say that the state government should be more careful in arresting Muslim accused.
Ashish, we are completely run out of time. Ashish, we are completely run out of time.
And then you say that now we have valid reasons to believe that there were wrongful arrests, and we need to take corrective action.
On that note, I think we need to completely run out of time. The fact of the matter is, this is a very sensitive subject. This has been a matter of debate for a long time now. But still, every time this comes up, there is the political heat gets generated over this. We'll wait and watch how the state governments will react to this directive and what kind of a response the Union Home Minister will get. Thanks to all my guests, Mr. Marwah, Mr. Ansari, Pinky Anand, Rajeev, Tyagi, and Ashish Khetan. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue on Big Picture same time tomorrow.